Welcome to Chopstick Travel. I'm Luke Martin, and today I'm so excited because I'm filming a video in my own country. That's right, we're here in Canada, and not only are we in Canada, we're in the best food city in the country. That is Montreal. Sorry, Vancouver and Toronto people. I may be a bit biased though because I used to live here. It's gonna be a great episode, so make sure you stay tuned till the end. Let's go eat some Montreal food. So our first bite today here in Montreal is at the iconic Schwarz. And for all you local Montrealers who are thinking Luke's taking us on a food tour, he's taking us to the touristiest place first, well, you have to visit Schwarz if you've never been here before. So smoked meat, Montreal smoked meat. So beef brisket, brined, rubbed with all kinds of spices and smoked. And I understand that our brethren south of the border have their own sandwich, the pastrami. Montreal smoked meat is quite different. It's a different spice rub, a lot of black peppercorn. And Schwarz is so iconic here in Montreal. You could say Schwarz is to Montreal what Cat's Deli is to New York. This is the iconic spot for Montreal smoked meat. And here it is right here, an absolute beauty of a sandwich just towering high with smoked meat and so much fat in there. You can see the black peppercorns, a little bit of mustard. That's all it needs. So let's go in for a bite of Schwarz. They've been around for almost 100 years, so it must be pretty good. Well, I know it's good. I've been here many times. They like to do their meat a little fattier here, but it's just so juicy. It melts in your mouth. Just a hint of kind of like black pepper. It's not smoky, even though it says smoked meat. I can't say it's like got a super smoky flavor. It's just all about how beautifully tender that meat is, and they are generous with the amount of meat. A tiny little piece of bread with so much meat. The mustard makes it so good. Wow. Like I said, you have to try Schwarz. It's not my favorite smoked meat in the city, but it's such an icon here. You have to visit it just for the atmosphere. That is seriously good Montreal smoked meat. Another institution here in Montreal that you must visit is St. Viator for their bagels. That's right, bagel. There's no Y in there, there's no bagel. Feel free to make fun of me in the comments how I say it, bagel. But yeah, St. Viator's bagels are the best in the city. There's a couple really famous places, but St. Viator is probably the most famous since 1957. They're making them fresh on the spot and in a wood fire oven traditional style. They have all kinds of different types of bagels, and I went with 6 of their different types. So let me just kind of pull out of the mystery bag and see what we got. So the classic is, of course, the sesame seed, which is just the most typical. I didn't get any cream cheese, which I probably should have, but we'll taste them by itself. This one is, I believe, butterscotch, blueberry, which also looks really good. All dressed, I believe, pretzel, and then a rosemary bagel. Let's try sesame seed, classic. With no cream cheese is a little bit weird, but let's try it. They don't even need to be toasted because they're so fresh out of the oven. They're still nice and crispy. And that has so many sesame seeds on the outside of that. It's covered on both sides. I believe this is the butterscotch caramel. Let's try it. Yeah. It's a little dry to just eat it by itself like this, but it's okay because we're gonna take the rest home for ourselves for later. St. Viator bagel. Got to check it out in Montreal. So I definitely recommend a little bit of cream cheese or butter on those bagels, but still just fresh out of the oven plain. So delicious, so much flavor. Montreal bagels are probably the best in the world. And This morning, I took you to the most famous deli in the city, Schwarz's, but now I'm gonna take you to my personal favorite deli, my personal favorite restaurant in the city for the best smoked meat sandwich. Let's go. My all-time favorite restaurant in the city, it's this one right here, Snowden Deli, a typical Jewish deli serving, in my opinion, the best smoked meat in all of Montreal. So let's go inside. So everybody knows Schwarz. It's an icon here in Montreal. But like I said, this spot, Snowden Deli, has my all-time favorite smoked meat sandwich. If you know, you know. This is the place. It's outside of the center of the town. You have to take the metro here, but you can walk just about 5 minutes from the Snowden metro station. And here it is, an absolute beauty. Look at that, just overflowing with Montreal smoked meat. Let me try to grab this without it falling apart. Look at that. So there's a few things you can do to customize your order. She asks you if you want lean, medium, or fatty meat. I always go with medium. She also asks you if you want old-fashioned or regular. So old-fashioned is like more black peppercorns on the outside. Gotta go with the old-fashioned. And then the bread, you can get it on whole wheat, white, or rye. I went with rye, and then of course you gotta have it with a dill pickle on the side. Wouldn't be complete without the dill pickle. They make all their own meats here, so smoked Montreal meat. Let's try it out. Oh yeah, so good. The medium fatty just gives it such a juiciness. It's just glistening with fat and dripping. But honestly, I like to load it up with extra mustard. I'm a mustard lover, and it just goes so good with it. There we go.
How are we doing over
It's
here?
delicious. It's overflowing with meat, just falling apart. Oh my god. This is my favorite restaurant in all of Montreal. No doubt about it. So good. And the meat here is just incredible. They also have a couple different types of pickles. Sour, half sour, or dill, like I got. Something about it just goes so well with the smoked meat sandwich. Oh yeah. Another thing I always order here is their matzo ball soup. So typical Jewish soup made with matzo meal. Let's try. This tastes like a sort of like a wheat dumpling with a chicken soup, kind of salty. It's good. Perfect way to start your day here in Montreal. I think overall their sandwich might be a little smaller in terms of bread than Schwarz, but the amount of meat they stuff in this thing, I don't know. That's a lot of meat. Like, look at how much smoked meat is in there. Oh, it's so good. They've been around for 78 years, so this is the spot to come if you've tried all the famous places already in Montreal. You gotta come to Snowden Deli.
So I get mine on a toasted whole wheat. I have to say this sandwich is not your typical sandwich because from the first bite to the last bite, there's smoked meat in every bite. Look at how much the smoked meat it is. That's crazy and it's so tender.
It's my lucky day. Mink couldn't finish her sandwich, so I'm polishing off the rest of her smoked meat. So good. And then the crust on the outside, you get that flavor of the peppercorns. This is the spot, guys. Not only their smoked meat, they have an extensive menu. Everything in their deli is homemade. You gotta check out Snowden Deli. They just make you feel like family there. It's absolutely packed out with locals. That is my favorite restaurant in Montreal. Try it out. Tonight for supper, we're in Montreal's famous Chinatown. There are a lot of good restaurants to try here, but I'm taking you to one of the best. It's Sammy and Soup Dumpling. Let's go. Before we devour these dumplings, I want to tell you a story. Once upon a time, I was eating these similar dumplings at Din Tai Fung in Taipei, more specifically in Taipei 101. I got chatting to the employee there who was telling me about how Din Tai Fung has hundreds of locations around the world. And then I asked her, is there one in Canada? And she told me, actually, there isn't one in Canada because somebody had already trademarked the name Din Tai Fung or something like that. So basically they couldn't operate under Din Tai Fung in Canada, but that's okay because none of that matters because we have Sammy and soup dumpling here in Montreal. Montreal's own little Din Tai Fung. Okay, enough of that. Check out these dumplings. We're here in Montreal at Sammy and Soup Dumplings, and we've got beautiful xiaolong baos. These ones are with chicken and mushrooms, and then over here is the classic, so thin soup dumplings filled with pork, and then of course cucumbers. The cucumber salad. Let's try one of these first. It's actually got quite a bit of sugar. It's a little sweet, not as spicy, but let's go for one of these dumplings in a dip. I'm gonna go in mink sauce here because I haven't made one. So chili oil, vinegar, soy sauce. Sometimes these things can be scalding hot. Let's see. Yeah, I had backed out. I had to suck away some of the soup first, too hot. Just a really solid soup dumpling. For Canada standards, it's probably the best out there. Let's try one of these ones too. This is the chicken with mushrooms. Nice spicy sauce. It's actually not too hot. Just burst with so much soup. Oh my god, that is awesome. This is the spot here in Chinatown, Montreal. So everybody's got their preferred xiaolong bao consumption method. But honestly, once they cool off, I like to just let them sit in the sauce for a minute and then just one bite. If you're craving even just a little bit for dumplings here in Montreal, you gotta check out Sammy and Soup Dumpling. It's around the city, actually. They've got a couple different locations, I guess. This is the one in Chinatown, the OG spot, I think. But anyway, they're really good. When I say Canadian food, what comes to mind? If it's Poutine, well, you wouldn't be wrong because it's arguably the national dish of Canada. Fries, gravy, and cheese curds. And there's a place here in the province of Quebec that does Poutine on another level. And it just so happens to be in one of the most beautiful regions in the entire province. So we're gonna jump in the car and head for a little road trip to the Gaspésie region of Quebec. So the Gaspésie region is famous for its seafood, and in particular, les crevettes nordiques, northern shrimp. And Quebec, of course, is known for poutine. So it's just logical here in Gaspésie to mix the northern shrimp and the poutine. So we've come to a place called La Cantine du Quai. It's directly inside of the fishing port. So you can imagine how fresh the seafood must be here. They have all kinds of different types of poutine, but the poutine aux crevettes nordiques, the northern shrimp poutine, is the one you gotta get here in the Gaspésie all over. But we're just in the town of Grande Rivière right now, and I've got a baby size poutine. So you can see right away that it doesn't look like your regular poutine because there's no gravy. It's just the white sauce, white creamy sauce with some green onions, and then of course, you know, the classic poutine ingredients, the cheese curds, the fries, but then the real kicker here is the northern shrimp. So let me dig down deep here, try some of this. I see lots of fishermen lined up buying their poutines, so it must be a good spot. It looks like it's completely drowned in the sauce, but it's not like a super overpowering sauce. I love the shrimp. They're so bouncy and firm. They go perfectly in a poutine. Cheese curds nice and squeaky, as they should be. Oh my gosh. I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty much the reason we came to Gaspé, was to try the famous northern shrimp poutine. This is just a baby size. They had huge ones too. Get some cheese curds. It looks like that sauce would just be like completely smothering everything, but it's not like a extremely flavorful sauce, so you can still taste the shrimp. Okay, that was freaking awesome. Yum.
I ordered a shrimp salad, and I have to say they really go generous on the shrimp. Like there's a lot of shrimp in it. I'm gonna put a little bit of the dressing. Go with a lot of shrimps. Wow, it's really fresh. I like it. I think I might try the poutine next. Okay, go right in with the poutine. I love it.
The restaurant is right here. We're just sitting on the picnic table, and I don't know if you can tell, but there's a boat right there. They're offloading the fresh catch of the day. So this is the place for fresh seafood, and having it in a poutine is probably the most Canadian way you can enjoy your seafood here. An essential stop on the Gaspésie is at Bonaventure Island. We just boarded a ferry that takes us here to Parc National, l'Île Bonaventure et du Rocher Percé. From the Percé wharf, you can just buy a ticket, and the cruise takes you for $45 for about an hour. First around Rocher Percé, which is the Percé rock, a beautiful rock with a massive arch, and then it takes you around Bonaventure Island. We saw seals, we saw lobster fishermen, and tons of birds. So we've just disembarked here on Bonaventure Island, and here it is famous for hundreds of thousands of migratory seabirds, and in particular a gannet colony, which we're going to hike across the island now to see. So there are 35,000 pairs of northern gannets on Ile Bonaventure, and you can hear them, and then you can smell them before you can even see them. During the hike, when you're getting to the end, the smell is pretty intense and they're quite loud, but it is a fascinating sight to see. I've never seen anything like it. I can't believe how close they actually let you get to them, and we even saw some of them doing mating rituals, and the researchers here are taking care of the gannets and counting them to ensure their population is sustainable. And besides the gannet colony, which is just breathtakingly amazing, this island is so beautiful too. You've got coastal views the whole way around. There's a lot of history here, a lot of Acadian history, but also the first people who actually lived here were the Irish. Most of the gannets, if not all, are sitting on top of a nest, and a lot of them have babies underneath. The babies are just gray in color before they get this kind of golden head and white body. They are noisy and they are big. They are about 1.8 meter wingspan, so I don't know, 3 times the size of a normal seagull. They are quite large up close. Okay, this gives you a perspective of just how many of these gannets there are. Look at this. To finish our Gaspésie tour, we've come to the town of Gaspé, and we've come to a restaurant called Three's Bees, and they specialize in all kinds of local seafood. And we ordered one thing called the Bouillabaisse. It's a French soup from particularly from the city of Marseille in the south of France. It's a fisherman's soup, and this is the Gaspésian version of the Bouillabaisse. So basically, it is towering with the northern prawns. There's pieces of salmon. It's a tomato-based soup. There's also pieces of cod, and then look at that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful scallops. There's also some cheese on the side and like a saffron mayonnaise, which she said I could put in the soup, but I'm just gonna try it like this with some of everything there. Mm-hmm. Those prawns are awesome. They're so bouncy and just perfect little one-biters. And so it's tart tomato base. It doesn't taste like a strong seafood flavor. It's a nice tomato, creamy tomato base. Yum. But fresh seafood. Look at this scallop too. Oh my gosh. You're gonna go in for one of those pan fried, swimming in all that soup now. Also, good with the cheese. Not very good. She wasn't sure if I was supposed to put this in the soup or have it on the bread. I feel like it doesn't go in the soup, so I'm gonna put the soup on the bread on top of the saffron mayonnaise. Yeah, that's phenomenal. That is a fully loaded soup. Really, really hearty. Lots of seafood in there. They didn't skimp on the seafood whatsoever. Scallop's gotta be the best in there. They just burst in your mouth. Sweet and delicious. Also, that saffron mayo is actually really good too with it. Yum. Very good. They also have a lobster club sandwich on the menu. Couldn't pass up on that. It is lobster season right now. Look how much they've stuffed in there. This is seriously the place for seafood here in Gaspé. Yum. Who would have known lobster in a club sandwich works really, really well.